Hello, Math 7, 8 students. We are beginning our Lesson 5, and Lesson 5 is actually video 15, and it is called Understanding Equations to Solve Them, and we find that on page 35 of my comp book, so I'm going to turn there right now. Sorry for that, Bill. So the title of this lesson is called Understanding Equations to Solve Them, and our goal for today we will discuss what an equation is and how to use algebraic expressions to solve them. Okay? The question that I want you to be thinking about is, what model can you use to help you solve equations? So we've learned a lot of models over the last year and a half, and I want you to think about all of those because those models could be coming in handy when we're working through these today. So we're going to jump into a task right away to see what we can figure out. We're decorating. You have two posters to hang up in your room. The wall is 14 feet wide. Each poster is 4 feet wide. You want to space the posters evenly along the wall. I would like you to write an equation and solve for the distance in between each poster. So the first thing that I like to do when I'm working with these kinds of problems is I like to draw what we have. So don't make fun of my drawing. Yes, it's kind of primitive, but it totally gets to the point. So here's our wall in our room, okay? And we know that it is 14 feet wide, so that means that it goes 14 feet from one side to the other. We know that the posters are 4 feet wide on each side. And then we want the distance to be evenly spaced. And I know my picture is not drawn to scale because they're not all exactly even, but you get the idea. We want all three of these to be exactly the same amount. So what you're supposed to figure out is what is an equation that we can use to help us solve for the distance. So I taught you a little while ago, a couple lessons ago, that if you set up your information as to what you know, what you don't know, and what the total is, that can help you organize some stuff. So I'm saying that the total amount that we know is 14 feet. I'm saying the known amount that we have is 4 feet, and those are the posters, so we have 2 of them. And then the unknown amount is this one, and this one. And since it's unknown, I chose the variable x, and there are 3 of those that all represent x because x is the unknown value, and they all have to be evenly spaced per the description up there. So those are the total, known, and unknown. And if we remember, we took our information and we wrote it into a math sentence. So if you remember what we did, we took the known, right, plus the unknown. Those can go in either order because of the commutative property, right, of addition, equals the total. Okay, I don't know if you guys are remembering this, but we did this a while back. So the known is that we have 2 posters that are 4 feet wide each, right? The unknown is that we have 3 spaces that all have to be the same size, and then that total is 14 feet, okay? Well, did you just write an equation? If you said yes, then you're right. If you said no, then you're not paying attention at all. Okay, so now we have to solve for the distance. Okay, so let's look at what we have down here. What is 2 times 4? Everybody should be saying 8, plus what is 3 times x? 3x equals 14. Okay, and now this is going back to what we learned earlier. Build an undo chart. Okay, what is my variable? My variable is x. What was the first mathematical operation that I did to my variable? I multiplied it by 3. See, everything comes back around. Last thing that I did to x was I added 8. So to undo this, remember we start at the bottom and work backwards with the inverse. What is the inverse operation of add 8? Subtract 8. What's the inverse operation of multiply by 3? Divide by 3, and we would be left with x. So now let's try it. So the first thing it says to do is to subtract 8 from both sides. Remember, we have to keep our equation balanced. So 8 minus 8 creates my 0 pair, so it's gone. Plus 3x equals 14 minus 8 is 6. So this one is done on the undo chart. Now I have to divide by 3. on both sides to keep our equation balanced. So I have 3x divided by 3 gives me 1x. 6 divided by 3 gives me 2. So 1 times x is x, and x equals 2. So we did find for x. So we know, if we go back to our story now, that each space in between the posters should be 2 feet wide. Okay, and you just found the answer. Pretty simple, yeah? All right. Okay, moving on to the next one. We're talking about ages. Let's see what we can do with our ages. So it says the ages of 3 sisters are consecutive integers. Remember what consecutive means, one after the other. The sum of the ages is 45. What are their ages? So we're talking about 3 sisters. Okay, so 3 sisters, all in order. So we have sister 1, we have sister 2, and sister 3. And we know that these girls' ages are one after the other. So if we don't even know the youngest sister, we're just saying she's one of them. We're going to give her a variable. We don't know. We know that her older sister is older by 1 year, because consecutive means one right after the other. And then we know that sister 3 is the same age as sister 1, but plus 2 years, because we're going consecutively. Does everybody understand that? And then it says that the sum of their ages is 45. Well, that's easy. So we go, sum means that we have this, and there are 3 sisters, so we're adding 3 ages together, and all of that equals 45. So we have sister 1, we have sister 2, who is 1 year older, and we have sister 3, who is 2 years older. Okay, consecutive, that's what that means, one after the other. All right, so now we have to combine like terms. I see 1, 2, 3 x's plus 2 other like terms right here, whole numbers. 1 plus 2 equals 3, and then they all equal 45. And now we can use the build and undo chart. Okay, variables x, multiplied by 3, add 3, subtract 3, divide by 3, x. Okay, let's see if we follow the pattern. Subtract 3 from both sides, creating a 0 pair. 3x equals 45 minus 3 equals 42. Divide by 3 on both sides. This gives me a 1x. 3 goes into 4 one time with 1 left over. That makes 12. 3 goes into 12 4 times. So x equals 14. Now we're not done because we're supposed to figure out the ages of the girls. So we know sister 1 is actually 14 years old. What do we know about sister 2? She's 15 years old, and we know that sister 3 is 16 years old. And now you solve the task. Okay? Could we use a tape? Could we say that this is sister 1? And could we say that this is sister 2? And could we say that this is sister 3? And do we see the exact same thing? How many x's? 3 x's. How many wholes? 3 equals 45. So we could use a tape to help us with this also. Okay? Boys and girls, how are you feeling with this? You've got to use all your resources that we've been working with. Okay? You could have also done the total was 45. The known was x, x plus 1, and x plus 2. The unknown is the actual age. Tape is right here. Set up the equation, and then you're good to go. Okay? So there's many different ways to figure it out as long as you know what the equation is. Okay, moving on to the next one, puppy pen. You are designing a rectangular puppy pen. The total amount of fencing that you have is 30 feet. The length, listen to the words, the length is 6 1/3 feet longer than the width. What is the length and the width of the pen? So we know it's rectangle. Okay. We know that the total amount going around is 30 feet. We know that the length is 6 1/3 feet longer than the width. So we could do width plus 6 1/3 feet for the length. Width plus 6 1/3 feet. And then we know the width is here and the width is here. Okay, right? Because this is the length, this is the width. they tell us. All of it, remember it says you're designing a rectangular puppy pen. The total amount of fencing that you have is 30 feet, so that means all the way around for a fence. So this whole thing equals 30 feet. So now you just write an equation. So we're going to do the width plus the length plus the width plus the length all equals 30. Okay? Does everybody see it? This is the width, this is the length, this is the width, this is the length, and all of that equals 30. So now we're going to combine like terms. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 W's. I see 6 1/3 here and 6 1/3 here, so that is 12 2/3, and all of that equals 30. Okay, now we need to find a common denominator, which would be thirds. So we would have, this is 4/1 right now, right? And so if I'm making that to thirds, I have to multiply it by 3, so that would be 12 thirds W. And then this is 36, 37, 38, so we have 38 thirds here. And then we have, this is over 1, so to get thirds, this would be 90 thirds here. And now we can use our BU chart. Okay, so build and undo. Variable is W. Multiply it by 12 thirds. Add 38 thirds. So we have to subtract 38 thirds. We have to multiply by the reciprocal. And then we should get W. So let's try. Minus 38 thirds from both sides. That's creating our zero pair right there. So we're left with 12 thirds W equals, can't do that evenly, so we have to regroup. So that would be 2. 8 minus 3 is 5. So now we have 52 thirds over here. So we subtracted. Now we have to multiply by the reciprocal. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. And so we get 12 times 2 is 24. That's supposed to be a 3. Sorry. 3. Write it correctly, Mrs. Nelson. So that's actually 36. Sorry. 36, W, which actually gives me 1 W. Okay. And then 52 times 3 equals 6. And 156. 12 times 3 is 36. So now we have 1 W equals 156 divided by 36. And then we do the math. 156 divided by 36. I'm trying to think. Will 6 go into that evenly? 2, yeah, let's do it. Let's pull a 6 out of there first. So if we pull a 6 out of there, 6 can go into 15 2 times with 3 left over, so that would give me 26, and that goes in there. Much easier to divide. So now we have 26 divided by 6, you get 4, which is 24 with 2 leftovers, so that's 2 6. So W equals 4 1/3. Okay? Now, the way you check it is plug it back in. So we have 4 1/3 here. We have 4 1/3 here. We have 4 1/3 here. And we have 4 1/3 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 16, yes. Then we have 1, 2, 3. So that's plus 1. Then we have 1, 2, 3. So that's plus 1. And then we have 6 plus 6 is 12. So now add them all together. 16, 17, 18. 18 plus 12 gives you 30. Ta-da! And you're done. And you found it. So the width is 4 1/3. What is the length? 10 2/3. Okay? Does everybody see that? Everybody good? All right. So we did it. We found all of the information that we needed right there. Okay. Another way is you could have done 2 times x plus 2 times x plus 6 1/3 equals 30, which is exactly what we did. All right. So lots of different ways to figure this out. You have one more problem, okay, and it's called practice makes perfect. and you need to do this problem for your homework tonight. I'm not going to help you at all. I want to see what you can do. All right? So back to our question really quickly. I'll give you a couple more seconds so that you can take a look at that last problem. Okay? Moving back to our question. What model can you use to help you solve equations? Drew it down here under the ages problem. And then, do you see how figuring out what the equation is and using algebraic expressions to solve them is making this lesson pretty simple? Boys and girls, it's fun. It's a good lesson. It's challenging. It makes you work, but it's also very fun, and I believe that you can do it. All right, that's it, my dears. Have a great evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye.